Fatherhood for the Rest of Us with Brandon Handley. Because you're already great at everything else, why not fatherhood too?
Hey there, and welcome to Fatherhood for the Rest of Us. This is Brandon Handley. I am the creator and founder of Fatherhood for the Rest of Us. I want to say thank you for choosing to spend your time with me today on Fatherhood for the Rest of Us. I also want to just encourage you, if you could, to go over to the podcast on iTunes, download it, subscribe to it, and leave a review if you have found any part of this at all to have an impact on your life. That will help others to find the show and listen to it and get the same type of enjoyment that you are out of it. Also, if you are a father and if you're looking for a place that you can go celebrate fatherhood or perhaps even share some struggles and get some advice or find some like-minded men, I strongly encourage you to stumble on over to Fatherhood for the Rest of Us, the private Facebook group, and ask to join. I'll let you right in. That's going to do it for right now, guys. And please stay tuned for today's podcast. Hey there, Fatherhood for the Rest of Us. I am on today with Ryan Wohlfert. Is it Wohlfert? Wohlfert? I just want to say Wohlfert every time I say the name.
It used to be that, like, it's a German name, so it was Wohlfert. That's okay. What.
Yeah, that just sounds like so much fun, man. That's a great last name.
Well, you can imagine what I got growing up.
I'm sure you got all kinds of things, but I mean, you got it now, and it's cool now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and read off your bio real quick that you provided for me, so people get a little bit of background, right? So you grew up in a little town outside of Lansing, Michigan. At a young age, you were attracted to health and fitness, which led you to the University of Michigan, and you graduated Summa Cum Laude in Kinesiology-Movement Science. You went on to earn another Bachelor of Science, Summa Cum Laude status, and your Doctorate of Chiropractic from the National College of Chiropractic shortly thereafter. Then, like you couldn't get enough, you continued to get your education by getting certified as a strength and conditioning specialist and a chiropractic sports physician. Over the past 2 decades, you have owned multiple chiropractic health and nutrition clinics, helping thousands of patients to achieve their health goals. In 2016, you started FitFamilyMan.com to help dads and husbands learn to create their family man six-pack so they can live an abundant life and take care of their family forever. You've been married for 15 years, and you're raising 3 beautiful girls, and those are the reasons that you are currently a Fit Family Man. Thank you for being on today, dude.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's great to connect with you again.
Absolutely. I love it. You are currently a Fit Family Man. Thank you for being on.
Uh-oh. Good to go?
Man, you gotta watch. You gotta make sure you mute that tab, man. So we connected in a couple different places, through a couple different sites, and we've had some conversations, and they've all been, really awesome. I've enjoyed them, and a big part of that is, you are getting ready to start up a masterclass, and we're talking a little bit about that before we got going here. Masterclass, and this is also going to be geared towards men's wellness as well. Is that correct?
Well, part of it, but the entire family.
Okay.
You definitely want the wives, moms, kids involved in it too.
Okay, great. So let's just, I want to touch on a few things with you. First of all, you know what? I mean, this wasn't even really kind of in the immediate scope, but this is something that I thought of today, and I figured who better to ask than you. As I ran outside for 10 minutes, jumped some rope, and then like sometime later in the middle of the day, like I took 10 minutes to meditate. If you only had 10 minutes in the day for men's wellness, what would you do?
Oh, man. Right now what I would probably do for me, because I'm in a good habit of doing this, is I do this like 6 to 10 minute mobility routine.
Okay.
Where it's called like a hip flow, and I got it from this, it's called Cal Poly Hip Flow, and I've modified it from that, where it's basically just going through a different series of movements in my hips, in my spine, in my trunk, everywhere, shoulders, just to get the blood flowing. So I've been doing that every morning now for probably 6 to 7 weeks, and then maybe even some other time during the day too. It just makes me feel good, and I've noticed a big difference in my hips because I was having a lot of tightness in my hips. So right now, that's what I would say. You could ask me in a month, and it might be something else.
Okay, I love it.
Meditating is awesome. You probably heard the quote, if you don't have time to meditate for a half hour, you should meditate twice a day for a half hour.
Wow. Yeah. I believe it. I believe it. It's still new to me, and I'm still, I have a little thing that I like to call things I wanted to hate. And meditation's kind of one of those things that like, I just didn't want it to work.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it does. And, so I'm glad. I love it. I enjoy it. But
now, how do you do it? You just,
right now I do Headspace. I'm a big Headspace fan. So I'm still just enjoying Andy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Headspace, but you know, you go through a bunch of foundations and a bunch of guided, and then there's, I think, 3 sessions where it's like Headspace Pro. So I'm probably looking at going Headspace Pro this year. And for whatever that means, I'm pretty excited about it. And then, you know, I'll probably look at some other, like Transcendental, or, you know, try some other ones. Yeah. And see what those have to do. Anything that it sounds like is going to be really cool. Transcendental help, you know, I don't know. At any rate, what else? So what can we help you celebrate today before we can get going with the rest of this?
Geez, good question. Put me on the spot. Celebrate, because we don't think about that a lot of times too. No. I ask my patients that when they're down, getting ready to treat them, I say, what's good today? And it just throws them off. And they're like, nothing, or, you know, the weather, or, you know, something, you know, because they're not used to that. A lot of times people will ask, you know, how are you doing? Or, you know, even their mind is geared up towards the negative. So yeah, what are you celebrating today? You know, it sounds weird, but it's a fatherhood thing to be completely open. I kept my cool when my youngest was whining today, like when she was having trouble with her homework. And sometimes it gets me worked up. And because I see a lot of her in me, a lot of me in her. And, you know, I was that same way growing up, just that type A, and just wanted everything perfect. So I kept my cool for the most part. I didn't yell or do anything. I just breathed and just kept quiet. I mean, I made a couple comments to her, but then all right, I got to let her figure it out, just like I had to figure out. So that's one of my wins.
Yeah, that's huge, man. That's a huge celebration. Can you tell us like how you did it, right? Because one of the biggest issues that is raised in the Fatherhood for the Rest of Us community is how maintaining patience.
My wife might be the one to answer that better than me, but or she'd be like, why are you talking about this? Because I don't always do it.
Maybe you did it today, right? So I mean, if you could go back today, how did you do it?
So it's almost like with my health. It's not just what now feels like, but what is tomorrow going to feel like if I am not productive with my health, or if I'm not proactive with my health. Same thing with the patients. If I'm not patient with her right now and I fly off the handle and yell at her and like berate her and make her feel ashamed, you know, I don't know if that'll make me feel better. I don't think so. It might feel better to get it out, but then what is that going to be like 5 minutes later? I'm going to feel like crap. Or even a day later, if I keep up that habit of doing that, it's not teaching her anything, but for me, I think it's just looking ahead. If I did do that, what would I feel like? What would happen? Not necessarily in that moment, but down the road. And I think, and I just listened to this today on somebody's Facebook Live, a mentor of mine, I caught like 5 minutes of it, and it's a husband and wife, and they were talking about this too, is setting goals, or like, and they were talking about just weight, for example. Trying to get to a weight is, too many people worry about how they feel in the moment rather than how they're going to feel down the road. And I feel like that's one of my good parts of me, is I do look down the road a lot. Like, how is this going to affect my life down the road? Because I want it as stress-free as possible. So if it's going to cause stress now, it's more than likely going to cause stress down the road too.
Okay. Have you always been that way, or is that something you just
got to? Yes. Just looking back growing up, I was always looking ahead, which is good and bad. You want to be in the moment. Sure. But for certain things, I have definitely looked ahead.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. No, that's awesome. So you're going to be doing this Masterclass. Let's talk a little bit about this because I think it's really cool, and I think you're going to be giving a great service to a lot of people, and families need all the help they can get. So let's talk a little bit. Tell us what's going on.
So a masterclass, and just to take you back and just to get everybody up to date, I was planning on doing a summit, which is a group of 30 experts in a certain field or a certain topic. It could be arthritis, or it could be depression, or detoxifying your home, stuff like that, where I interview like 30 people. So it's like an extended podcast on that same topic. We figured for the people I want to reach, especially families and especially family men, but also with the masterclass, I want to reach the entire family. Okay. An entire family unit to help them become fit. So it's right now the tentative title of it is the Fit Family Masterclass.
Okay.
And so it's going to be broken down into different modules where I take the audience, take the viewer and they're not just going to be a viewer. I hope they implement this through a step-by-step process. It's not just regurgitating tons of information, because we've all had that. I've listened to people, I know you have too, listened to tons of podcasts and interviews and read a bunch of articles, and they just give you all this stuff and you don't know where to start.
Sure. No.
And even when you get started, what's next? Or
right.
How do you progress? So that's what we're going to be going through in this. It's a class. It's a master class with different lessons based off of nutrition for you and your family, based off of, and then even subtopics geared towards a family man, geared towards women. For example, a lot of women have trouble getting off the weight from having babies,
right?
Kids. And it's not just the baby weight, but it's 5 to 6 to 7 years later where it's still stuck on them.
Mm-hmm.
So taking it step by step through that, going through the grocery store, showing people what to look for when they shop. Another one is like a cooking class.
Hold on. What am I looking for when I go to the grocery store when I shop?
Well, you have to watch the master class.
Oh, come on.
No. Well, I mean, just some simple tips is staying around the outside, a lot of produce. If it has a label on it, with more than one ingredient, I'm not saying don't get it, but it's not going to be higher up on that health spectrum. So that's, health is pretty simple. It's being healthy means your body is functioning.
Right.
So in being fit and healthy means your body is functioning. And if you're putting things into your body or doing things to your body that is making it dysfunctional, then that's going to lead toward disease. But if you're doing things and putting things in your body that allow it to function better, to supply your cells with the nutrients that they need, supply your body with everything that it needs, then it's going to build up, be strong and resilient. So when everybody else is getting sick, you don't have to be getting sick. When everybody else is getting diabetes or heart disease or cancer, that doesn't have to be you, because you're making your body strong enough. And that's one of the things I see is we live in a world where we're trying to avoid all this stuff, like avoid germs and avoid disease and awareness of disease.
Sure.
That's all well and good, but if we're not doing anything to help our inside, like us intrinsically, innately work better, it doesn't matter what goes on out there. So as far as, to go back to grocery store, you've been in a grocery store before, it. If stuff's in the middle aisles, more than likely it needs to be preserved. But then again, I don't want to blanketly say that, because my spices, they're in the middle of the store.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I mean. It gets complicated at times. So I want to simplify it for people going through the store, because I do a majority of the shopping for our family, and my wife, she does the cooking.
All right. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. One of the things on your Fit Family Man, you talked about being a little sick kind of as a kid. Is that kind of what drives a lot of this for you, do you think?
Yes and no. That's where it started.
Okay.
And again, like you asked me, have I always been, future-based? That's what I call it.
Right.
And looking back, I was sick, 4 or 5 colds a year, just for 2 to 4 weeks at a time. I felt like my nose was always running, always blowing my nose. So you do the math, and some people think, I get sick 4 times a year, no big deal. And I ask them, well, how long are you sick? They say 2 weeks. So I'm like, you're sick 2 months out of the year then. And they're like, oh yeah, that's not normal. And my mom and dad, I love them because they were very open-minded. They thought it was like this wood burning furnace that we had. So they, stopped using it, and that helped a little bit. Mm-hmm. But it turns out like I talk about health and functioning, my nervous system was not functioning to the optimal level. So what those colds did is they progressed to urinary or bladder infections. Oh. So as a boy, that's pretty uncommon to have a bladder infection, but I had multiple times where I'd be going to the bathroom 17, 18 times a day. Wow. And they didn't know what was going on. Right. And a lot of times kids have these symptoms or other symptoms, and they don't equate it to their body not functioning. They just equate it to whatever symptom or disease that they're diagnosed with. So in the 8th grade, it progressed even farther to where I was sitting in class and I was reading a book, social studies, and I was reading in class and I couldn't see the words. You look at the sun or a light and the that spot gets in the way. Yeah. Well, it was there and it wasn't going away. And I was like stumbling and mumbling and I couldn't see the words. And the teacher asked, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know. I can't see the words. Right. Didn't think anything of it. 10 minutes later, my arm goes numb, like numbness and tingling. That's happening. I can't see. I moved to the different class and I think it was algebra or pre-algebra. I went in there. Teacher was asking me questions. And this was the scariest part I remember was I couldn't answer her. I couldn't speak. Wow. The way I describe it was it felt like my tongue was too big, way too big for my mouth. I just couldn't form the words. Right. So then half hour after that first symptom started where I couldn't see, that's when it happened. That's when I got my first migraine headache. I didn't know it was a migraine at the time. I just thought it was a headache. Mm-hmm. I went home and slept. It went away after a couple of days. A week later, I'm sitting in school. Stuff started happening again. I knew it was going to happen, though. So I went down to the office, talked to the school secretary, and she said, I asked her, I said, do you have any Tylenol or ibuprofen? And this is where, honestly, I point to where the course of my life changed into health. Mm-hmm. Because she said, thank God she said this and did this. She's like, I can't give you that. It sounds like you have a pinched nerve. You should go see a chiropractor. And I didn't know any better. My mom didn't know any better. She was open to it. She called my mom, said, hey, why don't you take him to my chiropractor? And that's how I got started on that path. Wow. And, the rest is history as far as that goes. I didn't decide right there that I was going to go into chiropractic. Right. But like junior, senior year of high school, I learned about kinesiology and wanting to go into that. Like it's the study of human movement. Mm-hmm. That's what led me to Michigan. And that's kinesiology there because they had that major. It was at the time, there was only one other college that I found that had it, but Michigan's a really good school. I'm like, even though I was a Michigan State fan growing up, I went there because it had what I wanted. Sure. And when I went there, that's where I decided to go into chiropractic and, help people that way. But as with anything, one of my core values is growth, and I just continued to grow. So I had the chiropractic part, the fitness part, because I was always an active kid, went into strength and conditioning, learned more about nutrition over the last 10 years, just these last 10 years, right. More about mindset and focus, more about sleep. And this is what I want to teach people in the master classes. A lot of people look at me and think I just did everything at once. It's not the way. No. But I made habits over time. And granted, I'm definitely more open, I think, than some people are because, you know what? I don't know. Maybe it'll work. As long as it's not going to hurt me, I'm going to try it, whether it's with food or different exercises or sleep techniques or, sleep trackers or whatever it is.
Yeah, you know what, Ryan? I wanted to hit on that too, actually, since you bring it up. You and I had conversations, and another thing that's on your blog is you talk about the mindset. You talk about savers. You talk about a whole bunch of other things. And I heard you talking on another podcast about epigenetics, and do you bring these things up with your patients, and how do they receive it?
I don't get too much into that with my brick and mortar practice. Mm-hmm. I will, and I do more on the online health coaching that I do. Okay. Consulting that I do.
Okay.
It's, just not in the realm of what I do in the office. Now, we do have a health coach in our office.
Okay.
That he gets into that with them more.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was just listening about epigenetics today too. So that's
do me a favor. Like, I don't think that I could do it justice if I just spit out like 5 seconds about it. For the audience, I don't think that I've really brought it up in the podcast or any lives myself. Have you experienced anything that makes you kind of think that about it? I think that you referenced Bruce Lipton, right, in the podcast. I don't know if you've gone to any seminars or anything like that, but what would you say about epigenetics? What would you say?
Well, epigenetics is, I remember going to a seminar, must have been 10, 12 years ago, and Dr. James Chestnut was talking about it, and that was my first exposure to it. And I was always growing up thinking everything was genetics. Everything was, in your genetics and what you'll be able to do, or especially with your health. Obviously, I've learned that's not the case. The best description, I can't remember who said it, so I can't give credit to it, but so genetics is like a loaded gun. All right. Epigenetics is pulling the trigger.
Okay.
Right? So the gun does nothing just laying on the table and being loaded. It's what we do to it, like putting an action into it, that causes it to go off. It's the same thing with our body. So our genes are coated with this protein coating, and that allows it to replicate and reproduce and make all sorts of new DNA and make your new body. Well, what controls how that DNA is made and how much that protein coating is transcribed or comes off, or if you lose that protein coating, is determined by our environment. So that's the nurture part of it, not just the nature and genetics. That's actually pulling the trigger. So if we're eating processed foods, if we're eating foods that aren't making our body function, dairy has come under a lot of scrutiny. And I do agree with that, especially with how it's made and a lot of processing that goes on in it. Those are the types of things that, especially nutrition-wise, that cause the gun to go off. Not getting enough sleep, too much stress, leading to inflammation, poor posture, your mental state. All those things lead to that. You mentioned Bruce Lipton. He's amazing. Because the one thing I remember, I'm not sure if I mentioned this to you, was talking about how the environment controls what our cells do. Did I mention that to you?
I don't think so. No. I'm all ears.
I'll share this with you. He showed that. So put two identical cells. So one in one type of petri dish with a certain environment, and another one in a different petri dish with a different environment. And one turned into muscle and the other turned into fat, even though genetically they were the same. So that blew my mind when I first heard that. It's like, and he was going into more even how thoughts control that too, because when our thoughts, that starts a cascade of neurochemical reactions, which goes into our cells, which creates the cells into what they're going to be, and goes into the nucleus, and again, reforms that DNA. I'm not getting into too much detail about it because I'd get all tongue-tied trying to explain it all too. But that's the basic premise behind it, is what we do is, depending on what you read, 70 to 90% of what we do controls how we live. Yeah. But only about 10 to maybe 30% tops is your genetics. And that includes the diseases that you get.
Yeah, no, I love that. And it's still fresh and new to me, so I have no real take on it. But the thought process blows my mind.
The bottom line, the good news is you're in control.
Right,
guys, we like being in control, right?
I think everybody in the world likes being in control.
And I've always been fascinated by why, people's health. Everybody knows it's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
I ask them, what's your number one asset? And for the most part, they say their health. We might say their faith. And a lot of times when they say their faith, which, that's important to me too, I ask them, well, why did God put you here? He only gave you one body, or whatever you believe. You have one body to work with. So we know it's our most important asset. So why, I kind of know why, but that's what I asked them. Why don't we take better care of it then?
Sure.
And it's a lot of different reasons, and that's what we're trying to address in the master class too.
Master class. I want to flip this over here to fatherhood right after this.
Yeah.
But what would be like the number one, like creme de la creme that you're going to have in the master class that like it's going to be the fulcrum, the what they're going to show up for?
Like in my mind,
Yeah.
it all goes back to what I hope to get out of it and why I want them to tune in the most is to find out why. I just mentioned that. Why is their health so important to them? Mm-hmm. Because if you have that and you know that it is your number one asset, you have one time, one body, then you're going to figure out the how. If you know who you are and why you do it, you're going to figure out the how. Too many people start at the how, mm-hmm. and then they get frustrated. Life gets in the way. It will, right? Yeah. Kids get sick or kids have games and practices. So if you're not prepared to deal with that, or if you're not prepared mentally to say, you know what, this week was kind of a wash. I didn't, eat very well. That doesn't mean you can't go back. So getting their focus right, getting their mindset right, getting deep down into why they feel the way they do, about why they feel health is so hard for them and their family. The two biggest, obstacles I hear about are, time, money, but as well as everybody does, if you find value in something, you're going to find the time, you're going to find the resources in order to do that.
Yeah.
If you have the value in your health and understand what it means for you and your family, then you're going to do it. And if you don't mind, if I have a few minutes, I want to share the second part of my journey and why I'm doing families and men especially is, this is the second part of my, it was when I was a kid, and now about 10 years ago, this happened, where my grandma, she lived a great life, did a lot for the community, but she got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So I saw her just get wasted away, like so many people do, whatever the disease is. So she was just wasting away over 3 months. That had an effect, but even more, I saw what that did to her kids. So my mom and dad and my aunts and uncles. And I saw that. And it was right there, again, looking back, it was right there. I'm like, that's not going to be me.
Right.
I'm going to do whatever I can so I take care of myself, so I can take care of my girls and I can take care of my family and be with them, that they're not, and obviously stuff can happen, but at least I'm on that path. I'm not perfect, but that's when, and that's my why. That's who I am. I'm a family man. There's a lot of dads and parents and moms and dads out there, but they don't take care of their health. So it's not just being about that, but knowing why you take care of your body. Take care of your, and mind too.
Right.
When I say body, obviously I mean everything, your body and mind.
Right. Why don't you give us the Fit Family six pack? The six pack.
Oh, all right. So the Fit Family six pack. It's basically 6 different areas of health. So you have your focus. We've talked about that. That's your mindset. What you think about is what you become, and what you become is what you do. I learned this from somebody else. I've learned in different places, but I love how he put it. Jim Fortin. The guy's name is Jim Fortin. It's actually through business is how he taught it. Was you have to be, have, do. Right? It's not do, have, be. It's be, have, do. So you have to be that person first before you can have or do, and be congruent with that and have long-term success. So that's the mindset. Number 2 is fitness. Fitness and food, that's 2 and 3. Most people know about that, right?
Right.
You have to move. It's not just, going out doing CrossFit. Heck, you can do that. But it's just getting out, walking, moving, doing the mobility routine that I talked about. It's not just sitting down for 8 hours a day at your desk and then going home and sitting down for another 3 or 4 hours while you're watching TV. Food, I think you are what you eat. I don't like cliches, but I like that one because it's true.
Right.
Your body becomes what you eat. The fourth one is function. So I already mentioned that health is function. Well, that function comes from your brain and nervous system because that controls everything that happens in your body. For your stomach to digest food, your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe. For it to function, you need that information and those signals, that communication from the brain to the body and the body to the brain. Now, where that comes from is the nervous system, which is inside the spine. So being a chiropractor, obviously, I know and I've seen how important the spine is. That gets left out a lot because, again, not many people know about it. You can't, I'll say it, you can't sell a drug based off of that, really, to help correct posture in the spine.
Right.
But it's biomechanics. If you're hunched over like this, how do we see kids and even adults looking at their cell phone? They're down like this, just cranking their neck down. Mm-hmm. And if you do that as just a test, you're going to see that you can't breathe very well if you're hunched down. So that's going to affect your breathing, your blood pressure, your heartbeat. So that was 4. Number 5 is refresh. You see they're all F's. I had to take a little bit of liberty with refresh because I couldn't find an F word for sleep, but that's basically what that is. Sure. And you can even extend that into like vacations and taking breaks. But for the most part, that's your sleep. You have to regenerate. The last couple of years, I've gotten more into sleep. Like I said, it's been a progression for me.
Sure.
Just looking at all these different areas of health, sleep is one of the most important things.
I got a question. This is a personal one. Sometimes I just want to sleep instead of going to the gym. Which one's more important today?
It depends. What time of day is it?
I mean, it's first thing in the morning. Let's say that I got 6 hours of sleep 2 nights in a row, and I know that I should get around 7 to 8.
It just depends on it. Well, I know from my personal experience, I did it for a year where I got up at 5 o'clock and worked out, and I think that put me behind the 8 ball. I think it's just like with anything that we do. If we do it consistently enough, either good or bad, you're going to get the results. And I don't know, maybe you only need 6 hours of sleep. I'm not sure, but if you're waking up where you're tired, then you might need a little bit more.
Right.
I don't know if you can take a nap in the middle of the day, but there's been some
theories. I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
Okay. There's been theories out there as far as whether you need 6 or like 7 continuous hours of sleep, or if that can be broken up.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's I think that gives me an answer though. Without giving me a straight answer, you give me an answer. It's what you said there too. Like, getting up, because what I did was I did exactly what you talk. I got up at like 5, probably most of last year, and went to the gym. But then I also felt like I was not getting enough rest. I didn't feel like I was getting refreshed enough and recharged enough. And while I was getting healthy and moving my body, another aspect of my life was getting the shaft.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, you're exactly right. We're doing our fitness part of it, but the refresh part is lacking.
Yeah.
The refresh part is where your body actually gets stronger. That's where the growth hormone goes up. That's where all these different hormones start regulating themselves or resetting themselves. Mm-hmm. So that's why sleep, that's your repair time.
Yeah.
If you're putting, and I don't know how hard you're working out, but if you're putting hard workouts on top of not regenerating, then eventually your body's going to wear down faster. Yeah. I'm
doing more harm than good at that point.
Yeah, I would say so, yes. And then the last one is faith and spirituality. Mm-hmm. I'm not telling anybody what to believe. Mm-hmm. I do think that's a big part of your health. Because if you don't believe, or if you feel like you're not part of something bigger, which I get in that mindset sometimes too, but that's why I pray. That's funny. Go back to that original question that you had, like, if you had 10 minutes, what would you do? Mm-hmm. Pray might be up there on my list because I know I could get a lot of benefit out of that 10 minutes.
Sure. I liken prayer to just a part of a good mindfulness practice, right?
Yeah.
So prayer is also to me, anyways. I don't have a whole lot of prayer in my life. But it also, to me, is like and typically you pray for like good things to happen for other people, sending out, like, we'll just call it like good vibes, or like, just you're having good thoughts. And that's, I think one of the things that we come to find is like being of service for other people and having good thoughts for other people, and how beneficial that can be to the self. And I correct me if I'm wrong though, and likening, that statement to prayer and being about the same.
I think, it's very similar, like gratitude, prayer, meditation, mindfulness. Those are all in the same. So, there's crossover.
Sure.
Like with faith and spirituality, prayer, meditation, that could be part of refresh, because you're refreshing yourself just by meditating, having gratitude, focus, and mindset. That's big with that.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot of crossover with that.
Very cool. Now, have you always been a man of faith, or is that something that you found along the way?
No, I've always gone to church.
Okay.
I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
And, the Catholic faith, I'm still Catholic. We still go to church. Our girls go to Catholic school. And I do love it. I love it for the structure of it. And I'm getting more into it, if that's into it. Whereas basically you'd go to church as a kid, you'd sit there, you'd hear they do the readings, and it was just basically the same thing every time.
Sure.
But now I'm getting more into it. I'm actually even singing in church, which that is amazing.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's good, but like I'm singing really low, so people can't hear me. So it's all right.
That's cool though. No, I love it. I always faith and family. It's always interesting to see who's got it and how it plays the role. And I love how you've worked this into a six-pack, right? And the image that you use, I'll have people, they'll have to go check it out. The six-pack image that you use on your blog is, and how it relates, I think, is also entertaining.
Cool.
So very cool. So if people are going to go to fitfamilyman.com to find out more about that, will you also have your masterclass posted there? Where's that gonna?
Well, I would say make sure they go to my Facebook page.
Okay.
It's at The Fit Family Man.
Okay.
Make sure they like that, and obviously check back there. I would also, even better than that, was on, I'm assuming a lot of guys will be watching this, family men. So I did a little a report. It's a 1-page report, the 7 mistakes guys make when they want to get in shape.
Thank you for tuning into this podcast, and I hope that you're truly enjoying the guests that I have on today. I also want to make sure that you are aware that Fatherhood for the Rest of Us offers personal one-on-one coaching. If you are a father out there who's been afraid or don't know what the next step is to take for you and your ideal version of life, reach out to me. Let's have the conversation. We'll see if you and I are a good fit. And if you are, I just want to help you. I want to serve you and get you to where you want to go, right? I'm not trying to get you from A to Z. I just need to help you to get to your next step. And if I can help you do that, man, it's going to be amazing. And you'll see that you'll be up and running after those first couple of steps. If you are ready to take that next step, then head on over to reconstruct.brandonhanley.com and pick a time. There's a few Pines hostels available. If you don't find something that meets your timeline, reach out to me via email, brandon@fatherhoodfortherestofus.com, and let's have that conversation. We'll see if it's a good fit. I want to help you get to the level that you want to get to. Okay.
So I list that out. It's right at the top. Just put your email address in there, and then they'll get on the email list, which I will give updates. I don't send one every day, so don't worry about that. Like once or twice a week, you'll get something from me, but it's not every day. I'm not going to load up your inbox. And what I call it is it's weekly health inspiration. I take aspects of my life that have gone on either that week or the week before, podcasts that I listen to, and I equate it with lessons that I've learned, and even equate that to health and life and being a good parent.
Okay. Awesome. Let's flip it over into fatherhood a little bit, Ryan. What I guess I'd call it like the gauntlet right here at the end. What does fatherhood mean to you?
It means being there for my kids, with my kids, setting a good example so they can learn from it, And I still have a lot to work on. Health, I think I got down, but as far as the other parts of it, just frustrations that I might have with work, business.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I think setting an example for them, leading a good life, showing them that life is good, not, life sucks and then you die. Because I hear that. I mean, I hear people say that.
Yeah.
Really? I've had, patients or, different people tell me, like their parents died, for example.
Right.
And they left all this stuff for them to clean up and do that. And like, man, I don't want to do that to my kids.
Right.
Even just like the junk, accumulating stuff that they got to work and take care of. And
right.
And he goes, well, when I die, I don't care what I got. That's their problem. Like, that's just not my mindset.
Sure.
Even when I'm dead, see, I'm already looking ahead. Well, I'm planning on living till, over 100. So I got some time.
You know what? I that's all very good stuff, right? All very good stuff. Another thought that I had though earlier today, and it just came back to me, and you actually referenced it earlier. The person who doesn't think that they have to get fit or be as fit as they should be, taking care of their body. Like why is this important? Do you think it's like because like every once in a while we'll get there's like 3 people in China, 1 guy in like France that all they ever did was drink wine and smoke cigarettes, and everybody thinks they're going to be that person? Is that the problem? I mean,
all those little things like that, they seep into, we go in the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
These little things that we want to accept, and it goes in the subconscious. They see, he did it.
Yeah.
What you have to realize is, why do you think that's on the news?
Because it's news where there's
it's the exception. It's not the rule.
Right.
And why do you think we don't hear about these hundreds of thousands of people dying of heart disease every year? It's because it's common. It's not news.
Yeah.
But that's it. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes. Look at the, hundreds of thousands and even up to millions, if we combine them all, of people who get that every year. And then the money part of it, because that's one of the people, one obstacle or one, I don't say obstacle, because I don't want to put that in their way. That's one reason or excuse that they give. But I've crunched the numbers as far as how much disease actually costs.
Right.
And it's a lot more than actually being healthy.
Right. Like, so being healthy and buying healthy foods, organic or otherwise, is actually more of an investment than it is a daily maintenance. And it's still daily maintenance, but the long and short of that is I'll take I quit drinking. I haven't been drinking. I haven't had a drink for probably over a year or coming close to a year. Right. But if I were to, kind of crunch numbers and say, my not drinking isn't just saving me, $10 a day. It's also saving me any health bills, insurance bills, whatever, not to mention what I could actually put away or invest in it in another way. Mm-hmm. So it's an investment in your health if you go and buy the $7 organic melon.
Wow.
See, just using that.
I know. I'll go with you.
Right. But I would rather have a tasty melon today than melanoma later.
Nice.
Nothing else on that. Okay, back into fatherhood. Sorry, I had to bring that up because I thought about it earlier today. And I was like, it's like that one guy in China who's at the farm is 110 smoking cigarettes that everybody's thinking that they're going to turn out to be. It sounds like you had a pretty good relationship with your parents. How was the relationship with your father? What did he mean to you? And what are some of the things that he did that you're carrying forth, traditional wise or just raising your own children?
This is, I really haven't talked about this anywhere on here. I mean, people who know me know the story. My first dad, my biological dad, he died in a car accident when I was 2 months old.
Wow. Okay.
So when I was 3.5, my mom remarried my dad. He's my dad. He's not my stepdad. Mm-hmm. He raised us. And again, I was a brat growing up. So it was nice that he saw through that. And I have me and my older brother. And then we had, my mom and dad, my second dad had 2 more boys. So there's 4 of us.
Wow.
But I mean, I just look back and we were always his. He always treated us like his. He gave us the discipline. He expected things out of us. Um, he was a hard worker. We played sports, me and my brothers, especially my older brother. My dad wasn't into sports. He would still come to our games.
Huh.
He would still, basketball, baseball, he would still come. He never went to the bar after work with friends. He always just came home and ate and, mowed the lawn, and just, he provided a good life for us. So it's just those little things, not little, but there weren't these big aha type things. We didn't take huge, grandiose vacations. We went to a Detroit Tigers baseball game most of the time, and that was awesome. Just staying overnight in a hotel when you were a kid, coming, from where we came from. And so those were the times that I remember. But yeah, that's what I got from him, is just being there again for your kids, even if you don't understand what they're doing, that type of thing.
I think that's huge. It's a great point that you make, is that even if it's not something that you're into, be excited and into it for them, right? Be excited that they have a curiosity for something, right? Or a passion for something. I think sounds like that's how your dad was.
Yeah, I mean, just to take care of two young boys like that and to step into our lives, and I can't imagine where we would be, if that didn't happen.
Right on. I love it. And I also think that that's a testament to him. My brother-in-law, stepped into my sister's life, and raising somebody else's kid that's not yours, it can't be easy. I mean, raising your own 3 daughters, that's hard enough. They belong to you. And I've got my own, and there's days, and I'm like, what? So I always think that's I think that's a tribute to the person and their character, that whenever they're able to do it. So that's really cool that you had somebody like that in your life. Big reader, I know you are. You mentioned quite a few books. What is a book that has had the most radical impact on you in the past year?
I'll give you 2. That's all right.
Mm-hmm.
One Thing by Gary Keller.
Mm-hmm.
I actually just reread it. How I know it's had a radical impact is if I've taken notes on it.
Okay.
Highlight it, and then I'll go back through and take notes on it and give to my staff and my team so they can benefit from it too. So that one. And then also, this is an under the radar book. I've given this out a couple times. I actually did this on another podcast, but I want to get this out there. It's called Dream Big, Think Small. It's from Jeff Manion. And it's cool because it goes through a 30-day, basically you read one chapter a day. The chapters are maybe, I don't even think they're 10 pages. I like it because it goes through stories. Again, people learn by stories.
Sure.
Right? So he gives good stories about his life or his congregation's life, and teaches you lessons based off of that. Yes, we can dream. The title, Dream Big, Think Small. We have to take those small steps to get the big results, and that's the basic premise of it.
Okay,
that's another good one that I reread twice.
What with all that you're kind of learning, and that it seems like you've already you had always this insatiable curiosity for learning just by reading about you, right, in your bio. Is this something that you've been able to pass on to your children? If so, how? How are you, we were just talking about, being excited for their passions and their curiosity? How are you fanning the flames, as it were, for them?
Just encouraging them to do new things, think outside the box. We never really thought outside the box. It was just, this is what you did.
Here's the box.
Yes. But learning, I asked one of my daughters last year, I said, what is your favorite thing about me? What is the one thing that you're going to remember, your favorite thing? And she said that I'm always learning, that I always want to get better, that I always want to grow. And that's
awesome.
I got chills.
I was going to say, did you call her just fall down and start crying?
So yes, it was definitely nice to hear.
Nice.
But yeah, all my girls, it started from a young age where we just, again, it was looking ahead.
Sure.
They slept. We want to make sure that they, had the right foods. Again, they're not perfect, trust me.
Sure.
But we do the best we can with that, making sure they get what they need and not just in the moment, caving in to whatever, the problem is or whatever they're screaming about. And so I think they saw that, they saw that, not that we're going to necessarily stick to our guns, but we're going to understand, we'll listen to them. We want what's best for them. And I don't know, it's hard to describe because I think they could just feel it. They just knew that what we were doing, and because of what me and my wife do as far as what they see us do and how we act and behave, I think it just sinks in. I really do.
That's great. So you're being good models for your children.
I hope so. Yeah.
Sure. You mentioned on the other podcast I picked up, and I love this too, it's kind of shaped their behaviors, right? And this, I think, had to do with like putting food on their plate, right? So the kind of getting them to eat healthy. It wasn't like, hey, here's a big stack of peas, carrots, and all this other stuff. Go eat this big stack and don't leave the table until. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you did to encourage your children to eat healthy? Because I thought that was a really nice tip.
Well, what we do is, I see a lot of parents loading up their kids' plates and then hoping that they'll eat a little bit of it. Whereas we're like, we'll put on there what we think they should be able to eat, what they can eat, nothing overwhelming. Like, for example, peppers. I didn't like peppers as a kid.
Right.
I
hated them.
Right. I do now, but we just want to expose them to it. So we started off, all right, you got to eat this one pepper. And then that worked up to 2, and then 3, and then 4, then 5. Right now we're at 5. You get 5, little strips of peppers, but they'll also have that at lunch, or carrots, like 5 little baby carrots.
Right.
So it's worked up to the point where they know for dinner, for lunch, they're going to have some, it could be fruit too. They could choose fruit, but vegetable or fruit, just so they get in the habit of that, not loading their plate up with a ton of food, because we know they're going to have a snack. So, and it's just teaching them good eating habits right off the bat, rather than, well, I'm not going to finish this. I'm not going to sit here. I mean, it's overwhelming to see that huge plate. And then it's also training them when they're older too. Like when we go to a party that's got a buffet, they're not stacking everything up on their plates. They're taking what they will eat.
Right.
That's how we train that.
No, that's great. That's great. I think it's a great tip. And, because I know for myself anyways, that one of the biggest, and, look, I'm in a neighborhood where everybody's got little kids, and we all want our kids to eat healthy, and we also don't want to waste, right? So it's just like kind of like this battle where you end up finding like some kind of common ground, right? I know that we did at least, and it actually came from I forget the raising a spirited child or something. It just kind of came from, for me, I finally just stopped having this battle at the dinner table with trying to force them to eat everything I put on their plates. But I still want, not that I don't want them to eat healthy, but like, I love the tip that you gave though. And because nobody wants, dinner time is supposed to be a good time, right? This is supposed to be when we all kind of come together and, have a good conversation, not yell at our children for, not eating the last vegetable or something. So
it's funny you say that, because the image that came to my mind was like, just one more bite, just here, eat this one bite and you'll get this. And I see that, and I have to grip my teeth. It's like, because I know it's not teaching the good, like healthy eating habits as far as, as far as healthy eating habits and going forward.
Even even just recently, I've tried to, we would give them, like, encourage them with dessert, right? And that's something that I'm trying to draw back on, and that's, once you establish some type of ritual or routine at your house, it's really tough to roll it back. So,
right. Yes.
So we're having to kind of roll back. I don't want the dessert to be a reward for them eating healthy. I don't want the dessert to even really be a reward anymore. So just trying to move that around, because I also don't want to, I don't want to reward the kids with stuff that's not healthy for them.
And again, it's the same type of thing. Then, because our girls have a little something after, it's like a little cookie.
Sure.
It's not anything big. My wife just made these nice, great, all natural muffins, and our girls love them. It was a new recipe she used, and you couldn't tell them apart from the flour-based white enriched sugar, whatever stuff that you'll find in the store.
Yeah.
And they're not huge muffins. They're, a little bit there. They're not big at all.
Sure. That's cool. That's cool. Is there anything about like fatherhood that you want to throw out there for us? I often ask for like any dad hacks, anything you wish you may have known before that you know now, or just just something we didn't touch on about fatherhood that you really want to share with the audience.
I think we touched on a lot of it. The message that I want to get out there for family men is whether you have kids or not, you could be a husband. I include you as a family man. You have a family. That's your wife.
Right.
Is in order to take care of them, you have to take care of yourself. It's not being selfish. I hear it a lot from, the people that I listen to. Again, if you're, listeners, they might not hear that enough. So we have to keep saying that it's not selfish. Because guess what? If you get sick, who's going to have to take care of you?
Right. That's a good point.
They are.
Yeah.
For me, that's not, that's what I don't like working against or that type of goal, but I'm working towards being healthy and being there with my girls when I'm 80, 90, 100 years old.
Sure. No, that's a great one too. Taking that time for yourself, especially as a family man, and I think it gives a little bit more on the man with children, right? Because we feel like we have to shoulder all this, we have to do everything, and if we, we're going to run out of time if we go to the gym for an hour. We're going to run out of time if we take a half hour to meditate. But that's where the meltdown comes, right? That's like, if you take that time for yourself, this goes back to your recharge. And I think that it fits to your refresh, and really kind of helps you set that mindset if you take that. So it's a great one. Thank you for that one. And then finally, what would be something that you would like your children to thank you for in 10 years?
Oh, 10 years? Yeah. I know I've talked a lot about health, but that's, just thank me for, I'm going to go away from that. Just showing them how to enjoy life. Because, I'm still learning how to do that because I've always been future based. So my mind gets a little bit too far ahead, but that's one of my goals is to enjoy my life. Mm-hmm. And I want to show them how to enjoy and that they can enjoy their life. And it doesn't have to be, just another day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good one. How do you think you'll be able to teach them that? How are you going to do it?
Well, that's what I'm every day taking these steps. I coach their basketball. My youngest, I coached her basketball team this year. My middle one, I coached her team last year. And just asking them. Another good thing I want to implement is taking each of them out individually. Instead of all three at the same time, having a little date with each one once a month or once a quarter, whatever it is, and asking them, what do you want to do? And doing whatever they want to do, whether it's going to play laser tag, whether it's going to the arcade, whether it's, it's going to a bookstore, whatever it is, and getting in the habit of that.
Very cool. I love it. Well, Ryan, I want to say thanks again for coming on today. I'm excited for your masterclass. When is that supposed to, do you have a tentative date for that?
October 8th is a tentative date.
October 8th. And that is for men and women, and that's going to be like an all-encompassing wellness master.
Right. It's like show them the process of getting their family healthy.
Perfect.
And staying healthy, not just getting, but I should say getting, because it's never ending. I don't want to scare people, but it's something that you just have to learn how to do. Take it step by step, show them the process, and then they can pick and choose where they want to start. That's what I want to make it like too, like a la carte to begin. And then all these habits just keep building and building and building.
Right.
And then then they can't even fight it because they became habits.
Right. All of a sudden it's there, right? I love it. All right, brother. Well, thanks again for stopping on today. And wow, before I let you go, where should we send people to find you?
So go to fitfamilyman.com, sign up for that get that report I wrote for the 7 mistakes that I see most men making when they're trying to get in shape. And then also go to my Facebook page. It's at The Fit Family Man. And make sure you like that, because I'll be giving a lot of updates on the masterclass and what you're going to be learning.
Awesome, Ryan. Thanks again, bud.
Thank you.